welcome everybody. My name is Janz, and as you can see, I'm not here on my own because it's not just about job coaching today. No. I have a special guest here, Suzanne Dinter, who's Expat Transition Coach, or also a transition coach for expats. Hello, Suzanne. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, Lisa. Thanks ever so much for inviting me along.
Yeah, I'm so excited and happy that you took out the time of your busy afternoon to talk to me. And I have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you so that everybody that has the opportunity to watch this video here gets an understanding of what you're doing and how you can help them with. And obviously, you're an expat yourself, so we will dive a little bit into that story as well so that people get to know you and your background a little bit. So for everybody that is watching today, if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments. And if we have time in between, I will get them on stage and we will try our best to answer them. All right. So Suzanne, you are in Germany now, and you have been in Germany for quite some time, actually, right? What is your story? Why are you here?
Right. Well, yes, I came here a very long time ago, 28 years ago, so 1994. Wow. So it's like, oh my God. I came here, I moved to Germany the day after my graduation ceremony from university.
Okay.
I'd studied German and I did a semester abroad in Heidelberg. And I loved it. I felt so free in Germany, and I kind of got a handle on the language as well. I was not very good at learning vocabulary at school and at university, so I thought, well, if you don't learn it in Germany, you never will.
Yeah.
And I loved it so much when I did that semester abroad, though, when I decided that when I graduated, I went back to London to finish my studies, and I decided, right, well, you're going to move there straight away, otherwise you'll settle down, get a job, and then you'll never move there. So do it straight away. So I literally moved over the day after my graduation ceremony from university.
Wow.
One day I had my mortarboard on, and the next day I was in a plane. It was July, so it was this month, 28 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I said to everybody that I would stay as long as I still had fun.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, obviously still was having fun.
Good.
Yeah, I literally came with a suitcase, a promise of a job in a language school, and a couple of £100 in my bank account. And I came to Kassel in the center of Germany because my then boyfriend, now husband, comes from a small town nearby. And so that's why I ended up here. And yeah, I've been here ever since. So it's it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, and it's so really nice and really cool to see for me that you said you're staying as long as you have fun, and you've been having fun for 28 years, which is a very good example for everybody that is interested in moving to Germany and who hasn't really done the move yet, or who is currently here and thinking about, oh, is that the right thing or not? But I think it's a very good idea to say, I stay as long as I have fun, as long as I'm enjoying the time, because there are always ups and downs in every journey. But it gives a lot of hope, I think, that you can have fun in Germany for 28 years and even keep on going.
Yeah, I mean, yes, there have been ups and downs, and of course, I was single back then. I mean, I had my boyfriend, but I had no ties and no children like I do now, and no mortgage and all the things like that that they've kind of like accumulated over the time. So I was free to be able to make that decision. And I must say that I was quite surprised at. I came over and I quickly did a TEFL course to learn how to teach English as a foreign language, because I thought, well, if I don't get a graduate job when I come over, then I could start doing that. And I was quite surprised actually at the level of English over here. I thought it would be much higher. I had been to Heidelberg for that semester, but it was like full of students from all over the place. So I didn't really get a gauge on how like the average office workers' English was.
Yeah.
and what level it was. I was quite surprised at actually how it was lower than I expected, because I thought it would
Mhm.
be like, Belgium and Holland and Scandinavian countries. But then I
Mhm.
realized that the reason why, oh, this is my theory over the years, is because that television is dubbed over
Yeah.
here.
Oh,
There's,
yeah,
there's, yeah,
totally. That
there
is
are no
true.
there are no
Mhm.
subtitles.
Yeah.
Things are not shown in the original language, and I really feel that that's had a big influence on how Germany has become,
Yeah.
or not become a bilingual country,
Mhm.
or a multilingual country. So, they dub them really, really well, the films
Yeah.
and everything, but
Oh,
it's still
yeah.
really quite difficult to find stuff on Amazon Prime or on TV to see it in the original language. I get a bit
Yeah.
frustrated with that sometimes, but
That's
I'm not a
true.
Netflix fan, but I'm sure you can find it more there. But on Amazon Prime, I often I must be looking for a needle in a haystack, or some very specific taste that I have. But yeah, I find that difficult sometimes to find stuff in original language. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
my theory.
And that's very interesting that you say that, because when I first went abroad, I was 17 years old, and I did a high school year in the United States, and I
Okay.
was so surprised how bad my English was compared to people from Scandinavia, for example. And
Right.
then definitely we are so spoiled here in Germany with everything being dubbed, and I don't like it. I really like watching TV series or movies or films in general in their original language.
Yeah.
Um, and what people from, especially from Scandinavia, told me that they had English teachers who were native speakers. And that's not
Wow.
happening in our German schools. In our German schools,
No.
everything that the language teachers have to do, at least in public schools, is I think they have to spend 1 year abroad to learn that language. But it's German
Yeah.
natives. And then also, when I remember when I came back, I was so frustrated because I was losing so much of my vocabulary, because we only had like 2 or 4 hours of English per week. And then after that, nothing anymore. So I trained
Yeah.
myself to really watch movies in English, read books in English, and so on. But it's not mandatory. And that's why I can totally understand that it's a very difficult thing to see, the how the English language has developed, and that Germany is not bilingual. And there are still, I
Yeah.
mean, there are still people also my age and even younger who are still afraid of speaking English. It's just, I mean, you will
Yeah.
always find people like that, but you would think, okay, nowadays, because English is spoken all over the world, that it's quite normal, but it actually isn't in Germany.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that people assume when they
Mm.
come to Germany, and then they're quite shocked at how quickly they have to learn the German language, because they're like, "Oh, I thought I'd get away with
Yeah.
English everywhere." You can, I think, in larger cities, but
Mhm. Yeah.
not really in everyday life. I mean, when you go to the authorities, when you're registering
Yeah.
yourself and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff,
Yeah.
you really need to be able to speak German or have some kind of level, or somebody
Mhm.
to help you, because it's really quite tough. And I found that really, really difficult when I
Mhm.
first came over. So yeah, that's one of the things that I found was a bit of a shock to the system. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think many people can relate to that shock to the system, because, as you said, they think that everything works in English, and sometimes it can happen, but
Mm,
especially if you go to more rural areas, it's
yeah.
very difficult. You need to have German in order to integrate also into the community, and to
That's
have
right.
and find some friends also around, and with neighbors as well. So, yeah,
Mhm.
Kerstin says, hello, you two. Hi, Kerstin. Thank you for
Right.
joining us here. So, the next question that I have is related to your childhood dream of a career. What did you think? What did you want to become? Do you remember what you wanted to be when you were younger?
I always knew what I didn't want to become.
Good. That's a good start.
Um, I can't really remember. I think the first thing I wanted to become was a hairdresser, because my cousin, who was about 6 years, or is about 6 years older than me, she was a hairdresser,
Mhm.
and so I aspired to be a hairdresser for a short space of time, but that was only because of her. Um, Yeah, it was kind of like I always knew what I didn't want to do. And when I was leaving school after my A levels, like at the age of 18 in the UK, I knew that I didn't want to work in insurance. I didn't want to work in a bank, and I didn't want to
Yeah.
work in the civil service. And I ended up in a bank because I just didn't know what I wanted. And this is something that I've learned through my hypnotherapy or my hypnosis coaching skills and training. And what I help my clients with is you have to get clear on what you want to be able to create it in your life. And for many, many years, I was almost proud of the fact that, well, I know what I don't want.
Yeah.
And I never kind of like, nobody said, well, what do you want then? Or maybe they did, but I was too stubborn to point it out. I was almost kind of proud of it. And the thing is, and that's one of the first things I work with my clients on is like they say, I don't, I want to get off this roller coaster of emotions, and I'm feeling so lonely, and I'm feeling so this, and I'm feeling so that, and I'm feeling so angry. I'm like, okay, that's great, that's fine, and that's wonderful that you know that. Now let's flip the coin and say, what do you want to achieve? How do you want to feel?
Yeah.
Because hypnosis is all about feeling. And they're like, well, I don't want to be so stressed. And I'm like, okay, let's turn that around. So like I have to coach them at the beginning to kind of like be able to articulate exactly what they do want. So I'm saying, so what's the opposite of stress? Would you like to feel calm? I don't want to put the words in their mouth. I would like to use
No.
their language, because that's the most powerful language to use with the clients, is to help them to achieve what they want to achieve is their own language. And they say, okay, yeah, let's feel calm and relaxed and confident, and to deal with the daily stresses of life really easily. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And then, but sometimes it needs a bit of training to be able to articulate what you do want. So I know exactly where they're coming from when they do that, because that was something that I did for many, many years before I discovered hypnosis. So
yeah, so that's and it's also, I think it's a good start knowing what you don't want. So that's something, if people are in a middle of a career crisis, for example, that's something that I always say, it's always good to find out what it is that you don't like. And but I think it's more difficult when you're younger and don't have any experiences, and then but okay, I don't want this and that. You can feel kind of lost if you don't know what you want. So that now that brings me to that really interesting question. You say that you are an expat transition coach, and I know that you help expats, immigrants, internationals with transitioning and hypnosis and hypno coaching. What does that actually mean? What does that entail?
Right. Okay. Well, hypnosis is all about feeling. Many other modalities that people use, like regular coaching or talk therapy, they talk and they're using their thinking brain. So they know logically that they want, they're here and they want to get here. And so they say, all I need to do then, and they try to think their way out of the problem and try to think their way into a solution. But the thing is, if your feelings are not on board with the things that you're thinking of doing and move to take action and move forwards, then you either won't be able to do it at all. The feelings will hold you back, and you say, oh no, I really can't do that. Or you'll push through and it will feel really, really hard, and you'll kind of go 2 steps forward and 1 step back because your feelings are not on board. So what hypnosis helps you to do is to understand and to listen, really. First of all, to listen to what your feelings are telling you. So many people push their feelings away, and I'll just push on through, and I'll just take action, and I'll and they beat themselves up for not being able to do what they want to achieve. But it's their feelings that are holding them back because you're not listening to them. It's like that annoying little kid on the playground that comes and taps you on the shoulder and says, and you're just like, oh, go away. That's the feelings. And they tap you on the shoulder again, a few months later or a couple of years later, and you're like, no, just leave me alone. And then when you finally just give them some time and turn around and say, okay, I'm ready to listen. Tell me what you want. And they just say, can I just play with you for a bit? Can I just tell you how I'm feeling right now? Oh, okay. Oh, I get it now. And then they leave you alone, and then you can move forwards and you can do what you need to do. And I help people, and give them that space. I hold that space for them so that they can tap into their feelings. And it's anything but scary. It's a really liberating feeling to know that, I'm finally listening to what has been holding me back all this time. And sometimes it's like just really small things, but once you understand that on a deep emotional level, then you can let it go. And then you can take action. That's what you need your thinking brain for, is to take action on the things that you want to achieve. But if your feelings are not on board, it's not going to happen. And this is the thing that happens really, really quickly. When you understand what your feelings are trying to tell you, and you can let go of some of the difficult things, then you can move forward in leaps and bounds. It's just, when I discovered hypnosis for myself, a number of years ago, I was flabbergasted at how fast I found solutions and how quickly I let go of things. And I was like, I have to become a hypnosis coach to be able to help other people to do this, because in the 25 years ago, just a few years after I'd arrived here, I had a nervous breakdown. And I, with my not very good German at the time, I did 2 years of talk therapy with a local therapist.
In German. Oh, wow.
Yeah, because there was no other option back then.
Yeah.
And it helped a little bit, but it was also the beginning of my own personal development journey, like where I started reading tons of books. The first book I read was To Feel the Fear in It and Do It Anyway. And one absolute classic. And but I can't tell you, after 2 years of weekly talk therapy, what had actually changed, what I'd achieved. Now, hypnosis helps you to achieve things in a really short space of time. It's solution focused. You know exactly what you're aiming for, how you want to feel, and then we work through it step by step. And my clients, like 99% of my clients, feel a massive difference after the first session. And then we do a program, it depends on the actual issue that the client comes to me with, is how long the program is, but I normally do up to 12 sessions. But that's just 3 months.
Yeah,
that's nothing. And then they don't have time to do 2 years of therapy every week to be they need a solution right now, because there's a crisis, and they've tried all that stuff often, and and then they, unfortunately, hypnosis is often the last resort until they discover hypnosis for themselves and make those changes, and then they go to hypnosis like every single time. But until they get to that point where they try it for the first time, it's often, I've tried everything, and I'm like, okay, but you haven't done this before, and you don't try hypnosis, you do hypnosis. And then it changes your life. So I'm just can't stop talking about it. I love it so much.
There are so many things that you've just mentioned that I'm so excited to talk to you about this topic. So I especially this focus on feeling and not looking away from those feelings. That's also something that I've come across that actually helps you transform. And if if you try to suppress it all the time, then you won't get anywhere. You can have, that's also this fact of you always have to think positively, right? It's like it doesn't really help if you try to think and force yourself to think positively. What you're feeling is completely the opposite. You're going into different directions. It's not going to get you anywhere.
That's what I compare it to weeding a garden. I help them to weed out the stuck emotions, the difficult emotions, weed them out first, and then you can plant the seeds of the things that you want to achieve in that beautiful flower bed that has been weeded. If you try to plant positive, try to force your way with affirmations and things like that before you've weeded your feelings garden, or whatever you'd like to call it, then there might be a little bit of success, and then but there will be lots of kind of like half dead flowers, because the weeds will take over. And so it's just giving yourself that space. And sometimes you just need accountability, and that's who I am. I'm a facilitator. I don't do the work for you. You do the work yourself. You have to trust the process and do a little bit of work when you're with me. But it's so fast, and it's so life transforming that it's really worth it. But you have to take that little bit of time to go there. And I'm there. I'm holding your hand the whole of the way. to be able to understand what these feelings all these years often have been trying to tell you.
Yeah. And do you remember how you discovered this topic of hypnosis?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I signed up for an online course,
Okay.
and it was, I think it was, yeah, it was like one of the first few sessions. It was a group thing, so it was quite generic. And there was a session on overcoming the fear of criticism.
Ah, I see.
And that was, that really, really blew my mind.
Oh,
Literally after
yeah.
that session, I was just like, okay. And the next day I had a little office job at that time, and I was walking down the road going, come on, give me some criticism, because I felt like it was this force field that I had around me. I just felt so confident. It was like it's just going to bounce off and deflect, and it felt so amazing. And so that was that was how I felt after one of the first hypnosis sessions. But I think I discovered hypnosis a couple of years previous to that, where I was trying to lose weight after the birth of my second son.
Okay.
And I'd done Weight Watchers the first time around after my first son, and I got down to my goal weight, and I said to the Weight Watchers people, I said, great, what do I do now? And they're like, okay, you're in your maintenance period now, and I said, so what does that mean? And they're like, well, you have to carry on counting points. I'm like,
why?
What? I was like, I really will develop like an eating disorder if I do that. And so with the second child, I was like, there must be a better way to do this. So that's how I discovered it. I just bought a book, and there was a CD in the back, and it was very generic. It was like talking about, like giving up dairy and gluten and stuff. And I didn't want to do that, but I just ignored those suggestions, because you can, it's not like you have to take on what the person says. If you don't agree with it, then, you're more in control in hypnosis than you are in your everyday life. I say everybody else is walking around in a trance. I actually de-hypnotize people so that they stop doing the things that they don't want to do anymore, and learn to do the things that they want to do. So and I had success with that, and I was like, wow, so that was the beginning of the journey. But the big boom change was when I overcame the fear of criticism with that session. It was just like amazing. And that was part of the reason, was like, oh my goodness, I have to do this. I have to change to become a hypnotherapist.
It's such a good experience that you've had there, because I think that sometimes, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that sometimes people are afraid of hypnosis because they remember these wild talk shows back in the 90s, probably, when there were people on stage and they were hypnotized, and then they would lift their arm all the time, even though they are not knowing what is going on. But I find it very, very helpful. And the key point here, that you say you hold the space for your clients so that they can let go, so that they can feel it, and so that they feel secure and safe around you, and not think, okay, what is happening in hypnosis? So it's not that you're sleeping, right, when you're doing that.
No.
Yeah.
It's the sleep of the nervous system. You're deeply relaxed. If you want to achieve anything, you have to be relaxed to be able to do it. If you're all tensed up and like, you're not breathing properly, and you're not focusing, you're not concentrating properly. Hypnosis is deep relaxation with your eyes closed most of the time. Some people can leave their eyes open, but I suggest you close them, just so that you can focus better on the inside. So that's all, all hypnosis is. And people have seen shows and show hypnosis. It's still hypnosis, but the person on the stage clucking like a chicken, they've already given their permission before the show, saying, I want to go up on stage. And it's like, will you do anything that I say? Yeah, of course I will. But if the stage hypnotist said to them something that they didn't agree with, or they weren't prepared to do, then they wouldn't have to do it. They wouldn't do it.
That's
what we don't know. It's like they just, they're either exhibitionists, or they just want to let their hair down on stage and say, to their friends afterwards, like, oh, it was a hypnosis, it wasn't really me. But it was, but they were just letting their hair down. But that's not what therapeutic or coaching hypnosis is all about. Obviously, I want to help the people achieve what they want to achieve, and there's absolutely no, it's just a complete waste of time and money if I'm gonna suggests that you cluck like a chicken, you're like, really? Do I really want to do that? I'm not
Yeah.
going to do that. So
Yeah.
it's a totally different thing. But they're very, very skilled hypnotists who do that on stage, but that's got nothing to do. And
Yeah.
you know, to do with real, you know, therapeutic hypnosis. And, you know, people see films where people are controlled by a hypnotist. That's rubbish. It's absolute rubbish. It's so misrepresented on the media and in films. And unfortunately, I have to kind of overcome those hurdles sometimes with people who've never done hypnosis before. I've written blog posts about it. They're on my website, and I've done videos, and I've also filmed like sessions with clients and put those on YouTube so that, you know, people can see, oh, right, it's something totally different. And you're more in control when you're focusing on the inside. You're in touch with your feelings. You, like I say, I de-hypnotize people so that they can achieve what they want to achieve, and they're waking up from this doing everything the way everybody else does thing, you know, like they're waking up and going like, how do actually I want to do things? You know, my parents have said I should be doing this, and my friends and society and my culture says I should be doing this, but actually I don't want to be doing this. And it's like, aha, that's where I can come in and help them to achieve what they want to achieve. You know, sometimes it is about creating healthy, natural boundaries where you say no, and where you say, well, no, this isn't me anymore, and I want to do it a different way. But hypnosis helps you to build the confidence to be able to do that, and to let go of the things that you know are not serving you anymore. And really, the bottom line is learning to love yourself more, and that's what I help people to do, so that they achieve what they want to achieve. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Yeah. And it's, I mean, for everybody that is still skeptical about it, they can, as you said, many of your clients have already big breakthroughs after the first session. So that's very helpful that you say that you adjust the process according to the needs of your clients. So if they just need one session, they can just get a taste for it, for example, or just have these 12 weeks. But that makes more sense, right? To really get to the point where they want to have a real transformation. It just takes time to also process what you've learned. And sometimes you don't really understand what is going on. Maybe you haven't felt anything during the session, but then later on you're more incorporating what you've practiced. Yeah.
I mean, I don't do single sessions anymore, apart from with previous clients, because people were getting big breakthroughs in the first session, yet the work is still not finished. And you feel really great after it, but then you realize, oh, okay, there's still something else to do. So I do a minimum of 4 sessions with my clients, but on the consultation call, I gauge and I use my expertise and gauge what they want to change and how they want to be, and then I gauge how many sessions I estimate. And sometimes, you know, they have a few sessions or a couple, like 1 or 2 sessions left over at the end, and they feel like really great. And it's like, do you actually need those sessions? And they're like, no. And I was like, okay, well, we can keep those for up to a year afterwards. And if you have something else popping up. So I've had clients who have become pregnant, and then they're like, oh, I'd like to, you know, really connect with my baby, or, you know, I want a really great birth. I had that recently. Or somebody's applied for a job and they're like, okay, I'm ready now, like to prepare myself for the interview, that kind of thing. So, you know, they don't get wasted, but it's just like, oh, actually, I feel so good now. You know, I don't need that anymore. Or another client losing weight, you know, she had 1 or 2 sessions left over. She's like, no, I'm doing really, really fine now. I've got my, you know, my mindset sorted out, and then they book maybe a bit later if they've got a different issue or a wobble or something like that. So I never do single sessions anymore with first-time clients.
And that's, I mean, that makes sense, because they it's great that they have a breakthrough in the first session, but as you say, that's something that I see in my coaching as well, that a real transformation that cannot be done just within 1 hour. You can get a glimpse of what is happening, but then if we want to really achieve and work on the things that are bothering you, or you want to transform, then it needs a little bit more time. So that makes total sense. Okay. This is so exciting.
But you know, these things didn't come overnight, these issues and these problems. And so, you know, they're not going to go overnight necessarily.
Yeah.
But 3 months is, you know, if it's a maximum of 12 sessions, that's nothing in comparison to how long often people have had these issues. So I still find that's a really, really short space of time. So
especially when you're also thinking about people going to therapy, as like talk therapy, what you mentioned earlier, that can take years sometimes. And I mean, the transformation in such a short amount of time, that's really, really cool. So, wow, that's really wonderful. So how can people contact you? Where can people find you if they need your help?
Right. Well, my website is my name, SuzanneDinter.com. And spelt the French way with a Z, not an S, the German way. And I'm also on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Suzanne Dinter on there. And I'm on Facebook as well. I'm the only Suzanne Dinter on there. I also have a YouTube channel, which is like, has a few videos, nothing regular that I post out there, but who knows? And I have blogs and stuff. So, you know, on my website, there's a link to book a consultation call if anybody wants to talk to me about what they could possibly achieve through working with me. Then, that's what I do is I help people get off the emotional roller coaster of, you know, when they move abroad and they're like, whoa, this is like, you know, I'm feeling really angry all the time, or I'm feeling so sad, or I'm feeling lonely, or whatever. I help them get off that emotional roller coaster so that they can feel stable, confident, and feel like themselves again. That's, you know, the biggest thing that most of my clients have said is, I just want to feel like myself again. And that's how I help them do it.
Yeah, because that's the biggest difficulty. You feel that there is some sort of stress inside of you, or you feel some sort of tension, but you don't know where it's coming from. You just don't feel like yourself. So it's really good that they now have an address where they can, or whom to approach. So that's wonderful. So, and for everybody that is watching the video, you can find all of the links to Suzanne's profiles below the video. Feel free to reach out to her. She just told you how you can connect with her. And a little sneak peek from our side, Suzanne is also part of the Welcome to Germany Summit in 2022, which is happening on the 29th of September. And you can stay very tuned for that and get excited, because I am very excited about what Suzanne is going to share with us on that day. So, Suzanne, thank you so much for taking the time today. I have so many more questions. Maybe we have to do another session at some point. So thank you so much, and I wish you a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And take care. Bye.